From shackles to superpowers, rewriting the narrative of domestic violence. Welcome to the BlackCEO Podcast, where we explore stories that challenge, inspire, and redefine what it means to be a leader in today's world. I'm your host, and today we're diving into a narrative that's not just powerful, it's revolutionary. We're going to explore how the darkest chapters of our lives can become the prologue to our greatest triumphs. Today's episode is inspired by an extraordinary individual I recently had the privilege of interviewing, Ashley Jordan. Now, if you haven't heard of Ashley, prepare to be amazed. She's the founder of Advocates for Growth, Leadership, and Meaningful Independence, or AGLMI. But more than that, she's a phoenix who rose from the ashes of domestic violence to become a beacon of hope and a catalyst for systemic change. Her journey from survivor to advocate isn't just inspiring. It's a masterclass in resilience, innovation, and the audacity to dream big in the face of overwhelming odds. Imagine this. It's the dead of night. A woman, bruised and terrified, gathers her children and what little she can carry. She's fleeing an abusive relationship, stepping into a void of uncertainty. This isn't the beginning of a thriller novel. This was Ashley Jordan's reality not too long ago. But here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. You see, Ashley didn't just escape. She didn't just survive. She looked at the broken system that was supposed to help people like her. And instead of accepting its limitations, she decided to rewrite the entire playbook. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Another rags to riches story? Haven't we heard this before? What? But hold on to your seats, because this isn't your typical triumph over adversity tale. This is about challenging the very foundations of how we approach domestic violence, mental health, and the journey from crisis to empowerment. This is about turning victims into leaders and pain into a catalyst for systemic change. Let's start with a reality check that might make you uncomfortable. When Ashley found herself homeless, battling not just the physical scars of abuse, but the crushing weight of trauma, she discovered a gap in the system so wide you could drive a truck through it. Sure, there were emergency shelters, but what about the day after, the week after, the year after? Where was the long-term support, the mentorship, the roadmap, not just to surviving, but to thriving? This gap wasn't just an inconvenience. It was a chasm that swallowed hope, dreams, and lives, and it became the spark for AGLMI. But before we dive into what AGLMI does, let's take a moment to appreciate the sheer audacity of what Ashley proposed. Imagine standing at the bottom of a mountain, battered and bruised, and deciding not just to climb it yourself, but to build an elevator for others. That's essentially what she did. AGLMI isn't just another nonprofit. It's a movement, a declaration that says your past does not define your future. It's a bridge between crisis and opportunity, between survival and success. And at its core is a revolutionary idea that with the right support, every survivor can become a leader, an advocate, a force for change in their own right. Now let's talk about this support, because it's not your run-of-the-mill handout program. AGLMI's crown jewel is its upscale mentorship program, a 12-week journey that's less about hand-holding and more about wing-giving. This isn't just about finding a job or a place to live. It's about rediscovering purpose, reigniting passion, and rebuilding self-worth from the ground up. Picture this. A group of women, each carrying their own invisible backpack of trauma and doubt, walking into a room. They're homeless. They're scared. They're wondering if they made the right choice in leaving their abusers. Now, fast forward 12 weeks. These same women are setting goals, networking with professionals, crafting business plans. They're not just participants in a program. They're entrepreneurs in the making, leaders in training, phoenixes rising from the ashes of their past lives. But here's where it gets really interesting. Ashley and AGLMI aren't content with just changing individual lives. They're gunning for systemic change. They're currently working on a proposal that could revolutionize how we respond to domestic violence calls. Imagine this. Instead of just police officers showing up to a volatile situation, you have a team of trauma-informed professionals trained in de-escalation and long-term support. This isn't just about addressing the immediate crisis. It's about breaking the cycle of violence at its root. Now, I can almost hear the skeptics. That sounds great in theory, but how do you fund something like that? Well, here's where Ashley's business acumen shines through. The proposal suggests funding these teams through local nonprofits, leveraging grants and community support. It's a model that not only addresses the immediate need, but also creates jobs and strengthens community ties. But let's zoom out for a moment, because what Ashley and AGLMI are doing goes beyond domestic violence. They're challenging our entire approach to crisis intervention and social support.
They're asking us to rethink what it means to help someone in need. Is it enough to offer a temporary shelter, or do we have a responsibility to provide the tools, the mentorship, the opportunities for long-term transformation? This is where the rubber meets the road, folks, because it's easy to nod along and say, yes, this sounds good. It's another thing entirely to ask ourselves how we can be part of this change. And that's exactly what Ashley is challenging us to do. Consider this. Every time we turn a blind eye to domestic violence, every time we write off a homeless person as a lost cause, every time we assume that someone's past mistakes define their future potential, we're perpetuating a system that fails those who need help the most. We're missing out on the untapped potential, the future leaders, the innovators who could transform our communities if only given the chance. Now, I want you to imagine for a moment what our world would look like if every community had an organization like AGLMI. If every survivor of domestic violence had access to not just emergency support, but long-term mentorship and empowerment programs. If every crisis call was met not just with immediate intervention, but with a comprehensive plan for ongoing support and growth. We're talking about a paradigm shift here, a world where crisis becomes opportunity, where survival is just the first step on a journey to leadership and advocacy, a world where the cycle of abuse doesn't just end, but transforms into a cycle of empowerment. But here's the kicker. This isn't some pie in the sky dream. It's happening right now in real time, thanks to visionaries like Ashley Jordan and organizations like AGLMI. They're proving that with the right support, anyone can rewrite their story, that rock bottom can be a launch pad, that the deepest wounds can become well springs of strength and compassion. Let me share with you a story that illustrates the transformative power of this approach. Meet Sarah, name change for privacy. Sarah came to AGLME after fleeing an abusive relationship that had left her not just physically battered, but emotionally shattered. She had 2 young children, no job prospects, and a mountain of self-doubt. When Sarah first entered AGLMI's program, she could barely make eye contact. The idea of setting goals for herself seemed like a cruel joke, but week by week, something remarkable started to happen. Through mentorship, skill-building workshops, and a supportive community of fellow survivors, Sarah began to rediscover her voice. By week 6 of the program, Sarah had not only secured a job, but had also started to explore her passion for art, something her abuser had always belittled. By week 12, she had developed a business plan for a small art therapy studio aimed at helping other survivors heal through creativity. Today, Sarah isn't just surviving, she's thriving. Her art therapy studio is up and running, providing a safe space for other survivors to heal and express themselves. She's become a mentor in AGLMI's program, using her experience to guide other women on their journey from victim to victor. Sarah's story is powerful, but it's not unique. It's a testament to what's possible when we provide not just immediate relief, but long-term holistic support. It's proof that with the right resources and belief, survivors can become leaders, innovators, and change makers in their own right. But let's be clear, this isn't just about individual success stories. It's about creating a ripple effect that transforms entire communities. When we invest in survivors like Sarah, we're not just changing one life, we're changing generations. We're breaking cycles of abuse, poverty, and hopelessness that have persisted for far too long. Now, I can hear some of you thinking, but I'm not a social worker, I'm not a therapist. What can I really do? And that's exactly the kind of thinking Ashley is challenging us to overcome. Because creating change doesn't always require a degree or a title. Sometimes it just requires a willingness to listen, to support, to believe in someone's potential, even when they might not believe in it themselves. Maybe it's offering a job opportunity to someone who's trying to rebuild their life. Maybe it's volunteering your skills to organizations like AGLME, or maybe it's simply changing the way you talk about and respond to issues of domestic violence and homelessness in your community. Every action, no matter how small, ripples outward. Let me give you another example of how this ripple effect works. AGLME recently partnered with a local tech company to provide coding boot camps for survivors. The idea was simple: equip these women with high demand skills that could lead to well-paying, flexible jobs. One participant, let's call her Maria, had never touched a computer before the program. She was a single mother of three, working two minimum wage jobs just to keep a roof over her family's head. The idea of a career in tech seemed as far-fetched to her as becoming an astronaut. But Maria threw herself into the program with everything she had. She studied late into the night after her kids were asleep. She practiced coding problems on her phone during her lunch breaks. And slowly but surely, she began to master the basics of web development. 6 months after completing the boot camp, Maria landed a junior developer position at a startup. Her salary tripled overnight. But more than that, her confidence soared. She went from feeling trapped by her circumstances to feeling empowered to shape her own future. But here's where the story gets really interesting. Maria didn't stop there. She started a coding club for kids in her neighborhood, many of whom came from similar backgrounds of poverty and abuse. She became a mentor, a role model, a living example of what's possible when someone believes in you. Now, multiply Maria's story by thousands. Imagine the transformative power of an army of survivors turned leaders, each empowered to lift up others in their community. That's the vision Ashley and AGLMI are working towards, and it's a vision we can all contribute to. As we wrap up, I want to leave you with a challenge inspired by Ashley Jordan's journey and the work of AGLMI. I want you to look around your community, your workplace, your circle of friends. Who are the hidden survivors, the untapped leaders, the phoenixes waiting to rise? Now, ask yourself, what can you do to create a space for their transformation? How can you be a bridge, a mentor, an advocate? How can you challenge the systems and assumptions that keep people trapped in cycles of crisis and survival? Because here's the truth that Ashley's story illuminates so brilliantly. When we invest in the potential of those who've been overlooked or counted out, we're not just changing individual lives, we're transforming entire communities. We're tapping into a wellspring of resilience, creativity, and leadership that has the power to solve some of our most pressing social challenges. Imagine a world where every survivor becomes an advocate, where every crisis becomes a catalyst for growth, where the lines between those who help and those who need help blur, creating a tapestry of mutual support and empowerment. That's the world Ashley Jordan is building. That's the future AGLMI is fighting for. And that's the challenge they're laying at our feet. So, as we close this episode of the BlackCEO Podcast, I want you to sit with this question. How will you use your influence, your resources, your voice to create spaces for transformation in your community? How will you become a bridge for someone's journey from survival to leadership? Because in the end, that's what true leadership is about. It's not just about climbing the ladder of success yourself. It's about building elevators that lift others up alongside you. It's about recognizing that our individual success is inextricably linked to the well-being and empowerment of our entire community. Ashley Jordan and AGLME have shown us what's possible when we dare to reimagine support, empowerment, and leadership. They provided a blueprint for turning pain into purpose, crisis into opportunity. Now, it's up to us to take that blueprint and build something extraordinary in our own spheres of influence. Remember, every time we choose to see potential where others see problems, every time we offer a hand up instead of a handout, we're not just changing a life, we're changing the future. We're creating a world where resilience begets leadership, where empathy drives innovation, and where every survivor has the opportunity to become a force for positive change. So let's take this inspiration and turn it into action. Let's be the mentors, the advocates, the change makers our communities need. Because if Ashley's story teaches us anything, it's this. The most powerful transformations often begin in the darkest moments, and with the right support, every ending can become a new, more empowered beginning. As we conclude, I want to leave you with a final thought. The story of Ashley Jordan and AGLMI isn't just about domestic violence or homelessness. It's about the untapped potential that exists in every person, regardless of their past or present circumstances. It's about the power of belief, belief in oneself and belief in others to catalyze extraordinary change. So I challenge you, look around. Who in your life, in your community, needs that belief right now? Who needs someone to see their potential, to offer them not just help, but hope? And more importantly, how can you be that person? Because here's the truth. We all have the power to be someone's Ashley Jordan. We all have the ability to create spaces where transformation isn't just possible, it's inevitable. So go forth, be bold, be compassionate, Be the change maker your community needs. Because in doing so, you're not just lifting up others, you're elevating us all. Thank you for joining us on this journey of discovery and empowerment. Until next time, keep leading, keep empowering, and keep building bridges to a more resilient, compassionate future. The world is waiting for your unique contribution. What will it be?